This computer. Okay, so welcome everyone. I know there's probably going to be people that are kind of filtering in, but my name is Tanya Gonzalez Ortega, and this is a family constellations one-on-one demonstration. So there are a couple ways that family constellations are typically done. When I was first introduced to family constellations, it was done in a workshop style where it was like a room full of people. The person that was receiving the constellation would pick representatives to stand in at the mother, the father, the grandmother, the grandmother, all of that. And this is going to make hopefully a lot more sense in the actual demonstration. So that's one way, which the workshop style, I actually intend to demonstrate in the future. But for today, I'm demonstrating how it works one-on-one. So let's say, one of you come to me like, I want to, receive a constellation from you, then this is how it's, I'm going to demonstrate that. So it's a little bit different. How many of you here are familiar with family constellations already? Pammy is, great. Andra, okay, cool. So some of you are already familiar. For those of you that aren't, so this work was created, this modality was created by a man named Robert Hellinger, and he was a German, and basically a family therapist, family counseling, and he traveled to Africa and spent time with a Zulu tribe and basically learned how they heal the family constellation, so to speak. And so the story goes is that there was while in Germany, what was happening was that there was a rash of suicides happening amongst young men in Germany, and people couldn't figure out what was going on. And so Robert Hellinger, stepped up and brought this, developed this work. And what they found is that these young men that were suffering from really terrible disease were basically experiencing the trauma of their predecessors in Nazi wartime. So basically their forefathers were Nazis and had committed horrendous crimes against humanity, right? So by hearing that, then these young men were able to then move forward with their life. So they were basically carrying the fate of their predecessors and trying to, it was just overwhelming them. So that's the story. So in family constellations, what happens is that, we're working at the soul level. So not at the level of the mind, not at the level of our limited perceptions, but at the level of the soul, which is much bigger. And so we step into the knowing field, is what it's called. And the knowing field is just where the knowing field contains all information, contains everything that's ever happened. It's, to me, it kind of feels maybe similar to the term of Akashic records, although I don't know anything about Akashic records, but the knowing field it's just a field of consciousness. And so by stepping into the field, we create a constellation and information just starts to come through. So when I'm doing a constellation for someone, that information about different family members, what happened in the past, comes through in forms of either experiences, feelings in my body, or images that come to me through clairvoyance that are often very metaphorical and then are kind of like translated into what has happened. And then in family constellation work, what's then exchanged are what we call healing sentences. And those sentences are just basically based in truth and basically acknowledging what is. And then what happens as those sentences are exchanged between representatives is healing. It's almost like, you know, your soul receives a greater understanding and is able to release what's not yours so that you can move forward in life. So oftentimes, you know, if we have things like chronic illness or, oh gosh, I just can't, like, my relationships always fail, or I really struggle with money and finances. Oftentimes those kind of things are coming from your ancestors and, you know, your parents on back. Let's see, what else can I share? So we talked about knowing field, healing sentences. Oh yes, and the orders of love. So in a family constellation, if anyone is left out, so, you know, family constellations is all about belonging and connection, right? We're in a world where there's just has been an increasing amount of disconnect. And so in family constellations work, it's about reconnecting. And what happens, or what can happen, so let's say in your family history, there was, you know, somebody committed suicide. And because of the shame or the guilt or whatever, that person's death isn't fully acknowledged or accepted or processed, it can then, you know, show up down the line in different ways. Like maybe, let's say if it was me and there was, you know, this person had died in my family lineage and there was no acknowledgement of their death, then I may struggle with feelings of feeling rejected, of depression, suicidal, whatever. When I had my first time I experienced constellation, I was blown away in that what was revealed, what was fascinating, what was revealed is that my mother actually had miscarried her first child and had miscarried the last one. My whole life, I thought that I was the firstborn. And in family constellations work, you know, it's another example of not acknowledging the death of someone, even if it's someone that wasn't born fully, that can create. And so in the constellation that I received, by acknowledging that, oh, I'm actually not the first, I was not the first child, right? That shifts everything, shifts our life experience. The other thing that I had received my first constellation, I was suffering with a lot of just health issues like chronic fatigue, food allergies, all of this. And it was revealed in my constellation that my mother's lineage had a tremendous amount of trauma and it was overwhelming me, and I was carrying a lot of stuff that wasn't even my own. So and so these constellations, when you receive them, can work with you. It's not just like, okay, in that 1 hour, you're receiving the energy work, quote unquote, and the results are immediate. The results of a constellation can actually kind of reverberate throughout your life, the results can manifest months later. So without too much talking, as I want to demonstrate how this works, there's a lot of you here, so I'm going to ask for someone who's willing to volunteer. Now, as a volunteer to receive the constellation, please know that this is being recorded. It's going to be sent out to those who weren't able to come. So the first person, I see Andra. So Andra, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Hi everybody.
Hi, Andra. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Romania, but I live in Spain.
Okay. So again, family constellations, I don't need the story. I don't need like, oh, this happened to me and then my mother said this and my dad did this and, all the things. Like the way it works, it's like you come to me and you say, I'm just struggling with this. And I might ask you for some information, but we don't want to spend, in a constellation session, that's the beauty of it. We don't spend an hour talking about what happened because we want to step out of your own limited perceptions of what happened and then step into the knowing field. So what is it that you want to work on today?
So I'm struggling with finding the feminine energy. I'm my own boyfriend, and I would like to open up and to receive male love, masculine love.
Okay, so you're struggling with connecting with your feminine energy and receiving the masculine from your partner, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I do is I use stones to represent the people that are going to be in this constellation. So I'm choosing a stone for Andra, and I'm choosing a stone for her boyfriend. What's his name?
I don't have any boyfriend. I'm just alone. I'm single.
Oh, I see. Okay. So, but you are wanting a relationship.
Yes. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. So, all right. So in this instance, so family constellations can work also multidimensionally. So I'm going to bring in a field to represent your divine feminine.
Okay.
So the divine feminine and you. And so I'm also just going to bring in a field for your parents. One for your mother, one for your father. So I'm arranging this on the table. So it's as if these are individuals standing together in a room. So I have your father, your mother, your divine feminine. And so we're going to see what's here. I have no idea until I step in. So first thing I'm going to do is step into your field first. So what the first impression, the first thing that I'm seeing is sort of like this rocking, like this motion of like wanting to move forward, but then pulling back, wanting to move forward, but then pulling. And so I'm always just the first thing that I see, I don't second guess it. And so I could feel that there's this, and I could feel it from my heart too. There's this yearning and then this kind of pulling back. And to me, it almost feels like, okay, I open my heart, but then there's this fear, unknown fear that comes up that makes you kind of retreat back. Does that resonate? Okay.
Yes, a lot.
All right, so now I'm going to step into your divine feminine energy and just see what's there. So when I step into your divine feminine, my body wants to kind of curl in on itself. It's like almost like a wilted flower or something. It's this, there's a bit of heaviness and holding something close to your heart. So obviously there's something here that's in the way, because the divine feminine in its healthy nature is creative. It's the state of being. It's allowing, receiving. But here I'm feeling like your divine feminine is kind of holding herself like this. It's quiet. I mean, I don't feel agitation, but it does feel wanting to protect itself. Okay, so now I'm gonna step into your mother's field. See what's there. I'm feeling, when I step into your mother's field, I'm feeling some anxiety. Yes, I feel a lot of anxiety in my chest, and I feel tense. I feel very tense, even in my arms. Feel like there's some kind of outside pressure that wants to keep her, like she's trying to keep herself straight. Almost like she doesn't have a whole lot of room to move for some reason.
She's dead.
She passed. How long ago did she pass?
22 years and a half.
22 years. And what did she die from?
She died because she had tuberculosis, so she passed away without lungs.
Okay, interesting. So maybe that's the tightness in the chest, that feeling. Okay. Let's step into your dad's field. Is he still alive?
Yes.
So I'm stepping into his field.
Chris, do you want to come eat?
Yeah, sure.
Uh-oh. If whoever's not, you can mute whoever's talking. Everyone could mute. All right, so stepping in your father's field. Is he remarried? Don't know if it's necessary. Bring her in. But I can feel where there's, there's the side, there's the part of him that is definitely connected to his present wife. But there is definitely, like, the first image that I had was of him kind of reaching out for someone that isn't there, which the loss of your mother. So how old were you when your mom died?
I was 16.
Okay. So I'm going to start now by just having conversations between you, your father, and your mother, just to see what's there. Stepping into your field, I'm start by facing your mother. So you are my mother. And I'm your daughter. And I'm connected to you. I can imagine that her passing was very difficult for you. Because I can, it's like I know that you've moved on, but it's almost like a part of you is kind of frozen in time in that moment. I mean, 16 is such a tender age, you're coming into your womanhood. So just allowing myself to feel that and step into your mother's fields. And I can immediately sense that it was difficult for your mom to have to leave so soon. Like I can feel that she looks to you, wishes that she could have been here longer. So I'm your mother, you are my daughter. And I'm connected to you. And I can feel like there's just so much that she would have liked to have given to you, right? We just think of life, like to be there in those big moments of, if your path is to include like getting married or having children, like all these rites of passage, right? Like your mother wishes that she could have been here longer. And so she wants to just say to you, you're my daughter, I'm your mother. It was my fate to leave this life. And I'm sorry that I could not be there for you. But I'm here in spirit. You're my daughter and I love you so much. But yeah, it was my destiny. It was my destiny and my time to go. I can still sense that, even as I say that there is still some difficulty of letting go. Into your field and just see how that's received. And so so what I'm sensing is that because it's almost like out of your loyalty to her, there's some part of you that's like afraid to go ahead, like to move to keep moving forward, to be, you know, just come fully into your womanhood. It's like, okay, I don't want to leave my mother behind. So there's some kind of something that's holding you back. So for here, for now, I'm going to bring in a field for the divine and just have a conversation with your mother. So stepping into the field of the divine, God, universe. So I'm the divine. What was your mother's name?
Gabriela.
Abdiela?
Gabriela.
Gabriela. Okay. So I'm the I am the divine, and you are Gabriela. You are a child of God. And it was part of your fate to move, to transition into the world of spirit. And all is as it should be. So stepping into your mother's field. So when I bring in the divine in this case, it's like, okay, so your mother, I feel like she can let go a little bit more, knowing that, okay, right, that she can let go of the guilt of having passed. And that this is all part of a big divine plan. And so I'm going to step into your field. And just say to your mother, you are my mother, I am your daughter. And I loved you so much. I was the little one, you were the big one. And I accept that it was your time to go. And I have my life to live. And so I will move forward in my life. Your support. So bringing your mother, she wants to come behind you to support you. And okay, and so stepping, now facing your father, I can feel that part of him feels, I don't know if it's just that time like guilt or overwhelm of feeling inadequate, you know, to having a 16-year-old daughter, and
He was never present in my life.
he wasn't present.
No, he's alive, but he's not part of my life.
Not part of your life at all. So as a child, even though your parents were married, he wasn't.
They were never married.
They were
He
never. Okay. Okay. Okay, so that makes sense now. That makes a lot more sense now of why your mother to me felt very constricted and alone. So stepping in your father's field. So you are my daughter, I'm your father. And yeah, so there's this running away and hiding. So it would make sense that, struggling to receive the masculine when your father was not there in your life as a child growing up. So saying to your father, you are my father, I'm your daughter. And I feel no connection with you. And because of that, that caused a lot of confusion. So yeah, it does feel that like you and your mother, did you have siblings? No. So you
Not alive ones. I'm the only living child from both sides.
okay. So like, you and your mother are this island. Your father is hiding. He doesn't want to face I can feel just the avoidance, like there's guilt, but it's almost like, okay, if I just ignore it, then I'm okay. So there's this darkness that's around him of just not facing it. So asking him to turn to you, facing you. So you are my daughter, I'm your father. And I feel tremendous guilt for running away. Just had like this the fear, just not wanting responsibility, not wanting to pin down, just not wanting to be tied down. But I can feel that part of his soul is, there's not wholeness. It's just avoidance. And so I will say him to you. You were the little one, I was the big one. I was supposed to be there for you and I wasn't. Because of my own weakness and inadequacies. So to me, he feels fragmented. Step into your field again, see how that's received. And so now, when I step into your field, I do sense some sadness just around, like before, there was just no connection, but like standing in your field now, just allowing that sadness to be what it is. So you're my father, I'm your daughter. Your weakness and inadequacies are not my own. I can feel some anger now coming up a little bit around that statement. I wanted it and needed a father. So there is that frustration of just not having that in your life, and sort of just angry at men, angry. And so I feel the energy, and there's energy moving, stepping into your father's fields. For now, say, I am so sorry that I was not there for you. You deserved more. And even though I was not a good role model, I was not a representative of a healthy masculine, doesn't mean that you can't have that in your life. So I take back what is mine. I take back what belongs to me. It has nothing to do with you. You are just a child. So I can feel deep down that he does desire that for you, like the experience of the healthy masculine in your life, even though it's not to be him. You cannot do it. So stepping into your fields. I can feel that the anger is no longer there. There's acceptance around that. So bringing your father to you, behind you, where he should be, supporting you from behind. So even though we know, like, more than likely, I mean, who knows, after this constellation, things might shift and change. But for now, it's like just accepting that that's who he is, who he was. That's all. That's the best that he could do, but that it had nothing to do with you. So, being a young girl, that's very confusing, not knowing why, not understanding, just feeling the rejection from him. So knowing that it had nothing to do with you, I feel like, okay, that feels clear. Like I can feel clearer in my mind. So now I'm gonna step back into the field of your divine feminine. So actually I'm gonna step into your field. So facing the divine feminine, I'm gonna say, you are my divine feminine and I am connected to you. When I say that, the energy feels very very calm. And it feels spacious. There's this spaciousness of maybe perhaps really feeling that for the first time. And then step into your divine feminine. And what I feel now is that it has shifted to, it feels like there's depth to it. It's almost like an ocean. It's almost like I can feel, you know, that sensation of when you're just floating in the water, allowing yourself to be. That's what it feels like. So there's been some kind of shift around this gesture of holding and being kind of bent over to, okay, I'm just allowing myself to be, to surrender to the mystery of my life. And I can feel like within you, you know, connecting to the divine feminine here. I mean, it almost to me, and I don't, do you write at all or anything like that? You do?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Because I kind of sense this, like, this muse, poetry, writing, like you know, the expansiveness of your soul. I feel like there's something really rich about the way that you came into the world, you know, the connection with your mother, you know, your father, of seeing what's here and embracing it and allowing it to be expressed through your soul in this way that is beautiful, right? This allowing and this weaving of your story, and just, yeah, the feminine. Step back into your field. And so that feels really good. I feel, you know, the expression, your creativity wanting to be expressed. And just out of curiosity, we have a few more minutes. I want to just bring in a field for, let's just call him your soulmate. And see what's there. So stepping in your field and facing your soulmate.
Your Zoom manage all kind of shit.
Oh, can someone please mute? Let's see. Mute. Okay. So as I'm standing in your field now, like, to me, you feel much more empowered. Whereas perhaps maybe before, just your background and your history, at least on a subconscious level, was this feeling of incompleteness. But, you know, somehow in this constellation, the owning of your story and choosing to see the beauty in it. I feel like when I'm standing across from your future soulmate, whoever that is, there's just this feeling of relaxed confidence, you know, like you feel embodied. And then as you look to him, there's nothing that you need to do. You don't have to become somebody else, or there's nothing that you have to change. It's just, this is who I am. And so standing in his fields. So the recognition will happen through the eyes. So I feel like there's a bit more openness of allowing yourself to be seen. You know, when we make eye contact with people, like I heard somebody say, eye contact can be either a deal breaker or a deal maker. right? And so in that split second, right? And so I just have this sense, this feeling of trusting that, allowing your soul to shine through your eyes and allowing yourself to really see someone and for them to see you. That is the connection. It's through the eyes. So I'm just going to speak to your soulmate. So you are my soulmate. I am connected to you. And I'm ready. I'm ready to have you in my life. I can feel that in my heart. I can feel this pulsing. It feels very full. It feels very full. Like I am ready. And standing in his field, facing you. You are my soulmate. I am connected to you. And I see your beauty. So when I step into this, the joy will be there. It will just be known. How do you feel?
Feel calmer, a little bit at ease and more relaxed, especially when my biological dad said he's not my fault. I think I kind of needed to hear that, even though I know it's not my fault, because the little child never understood why he left. He never wanted me. So I felt broken. So now when he said he's sorry, I actually kind of felt it. I know he's sorry. It's a feeling that and I'm like, okay, I forgive you. So I even said that, I forgive you. It's okay.
Beautiful. Yeah, I can
Thank you.
too. So even as you're speaking, like in my body, I can just feel the energy, the healing, the releasing. So this is going to keep working with you, right?
Thank you so much, Tanya. One quick question.
Yes.
Can I get the recording?
Yes, this is being
Thank
recorded
you.
and sent out to everybody. So you're so welcome. Does anybody have any questions? Feel free to unmute and just ask if there's any questions at all. Yes, and thank you, Andra, for being willing. No questions? Okay. So that's, oh, go ahead.
How did you get the imprint for the connection with her soulmate?
How did I get the imprint?
Mm-hmm.
So just by bringing in a field to represent that. And then so here's the thing with family constellations, if you're facilitating a one-on-one, I have learned that you really have to just trust your first impressions. Because then when I was first practicing family constellations, oftentimes there was just this feeling of like, is what I'm seeing correct, or am I just projecting, or am I just making stuff up? Like you really have to be able to turn off the chattering brain, doubting Debbie, whatever you want to call her, and just go with what's the first impression. And what I have found in the beginning, I would always say, okay, I have to go with this. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm feeling. And I just communicate it. Oftentimes then it's confirmed. So the soulmate, she has an intention. I want to meet my soulmate. That exists. That person exists somewhere, right? And so it is part of the knowing field. And so when you just step into the field of that unknown soulmate, we don't know who he is or where he is. Now, of course, if I were to do if we were to do another constellation, okay, let's just focus on that. I could go deeper into, okay, what is this person like? What are the qualities, right? You can go deeper and deeper. So does that answer your question? So basically I just allow the impressions, the vision to come through, the feelings, what I feel. Danielle? You can unmute.
All right, I missed the start. I'm sorry because I was trying to hop in. I didn't know how it works. So I was wondering, like family constellation, it's like me, my trouble is like, I don't know my ancestors. I know only one ancestors, but the trouble is it's not marked down in any register. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's like hard to confirm who would be, or
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there's a
Yeah, there's often, yeah, oftentimes there's people we're not aware of who our ancestors were or what. And you don't have to know necessarily. Oftentimes it's like, okay, if it's a great grandparent or whatever, you know, if you have a sense of like, okay, no, there's something there. You go down the lineage. Those happenings will appear, you know. It's like you can trust that the information is there, even though it's not written, even though you're like, there's lots of case studies where I've read where somebody will say, you know, the facilitator will ask, well, you know, did anything happen in your grandmother's childhood that, you know, did ABC? You know, and oftentimes the person will say, well, no, I have no idea. Like maybe it's not in the forefront of their mind. And so the facilitator, well, let's just bring her in and see what happens, and bring her in. And then things start shifting and changing. The information just starts coming through and you just follow that thread. And so, yeah, family constellations, it's just very organic, spontaneous process in which, yeah, you don't have to know the details. You don't have to know, yeah, my great grandmother, you know, lived in Mexico and she was a,
yeah, whatever.
she had 5
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, you don't have to know those things for sure.
Okay, even for your spirit team.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way, family constellations, I mean, again, like you can use it in multidimensional ways. Like you can use it to connect to your higher self and see, well, what's in the way of you connecting with your higher self. I mean, you can use it to, like with Andra, you know, we were looking at her divine feminine. We could also looked at her divine masculine and seeing where, okay, what's in the way. Connecting with your heart. You can even use it, family constellations, for looking at a business, for example. So there's lots of
Alright.
ways that you can use it. It's not just family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Anyone else? Okay. Yes, Lisa. Oh, you're still muted.
I'm interested in healing multi-generational negative impressions that have been in my lineage and offering a new opportunity to connect with my soulmate. I had a guide tell me that I've already met him. We were in a relationship and I don't know who this person is.
Yeah.
So I'm preparing myself as a whole being in the oneness with God and in all creation to be ready and available, and that I not push this person away in my life because I've been told this person has done some great soul work and is ready to be reunited. So I don't know what impression that you would come up, which you would see in this family constellation, but I think that there's been a lot of trauma in my life.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of healing in that regard, but I think there's also family lineage that I would like to discover.
Yeah.
If you could do that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's kind of probably why you're not connecting with this person, because there's something that's in the way, that's right. Like if everything is connected, when you shift the energy in the fields, everything changes. All the actions, all how this reality shows up and manifests, everything starts to change. And so, yes, if this person is already kind of like in your field, like we can definitely kind of track and locate, okay, well, what's in the way of you not recognizing them, right? Like if you've met this person, but there hasn't been a soul recognition, there's something there that's like not letting you see it or recognize it, right? And that could very well be, yeah, something in the past, some kind of story, something that happened where it's just a pattern that's repeating, right? Like, and oftentimes in family constellations, you know, there's stories that happen when, like, let's say, you know, the grandmother had a first love that was could never be consummated or whatever, and so she had to marry this other guy, you know, like there's that. So then there's that, like, okay, that wasn't that's not acknowledged. And you know, so bringing that healing in. Yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
I've never been officially married, but I feel that my soulmate, he's visited me in my dreams. I know that may sound a little strange, but I've had precognitive dreams of deja vus in my life, throughout my life since I was a child. And I've had an impression of what he somewhat looks like. He's of dark skin, more African American possibly, and that maybe in this life, because I believe in kind of a reincarnation kind of soul impression, that he may be of another color skin, but he has been in this in some kind of African descent. And so I've been an activist for human rights for a long time. I've been for equality for all people. And so it's also been a preparation possibly for my union with my partner, which I'm looking forward to that possibility.
Yeah, and certainly, you know, looking into past lives is also something that can be brought into a family constellation as well, if it's relevant, you know, for sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So before we jump off, I just wanted to let everybody know that I will be also demonstrating how family constellation is done with a group. So for example, if we were all to meet again and one person is the client person who receives the constellation, that person will then choose from the group, like the person might say, okay, Jamie, you're going to be my mother, Yvette, you're going to be the father. And then, so what happens, what's really fascinating about family constellations is that complete strangers, I mean, I'm a stranger to Andra, you know, so you could see that this information starts coming through. All of you have the capacity. So when it's all through intent. We set the field, you step into as a representative for these characters in this person's constellation, and you'll start feeling things and sensing things, and maybe get images, and so the constellation starts to unfold. And the beauty of the work is that those that step in as representatives also benefit, because the thing with family constellations is all about returning to our ability to feel, right? We live in a world that's totally mental. And when we drop down into the heart, you know, those that are being the representatives in a constellation for someone, it just deepens our intuition, deepens our capacity to feel. And even those that participate in the constellation could also receive healing as well, right? And so the person, the recipient, is just watching it unfold. And so it's just fascinating work. I love it. If you're interested in knowing about when I'll be doing that, just join my email list. That's the easiest way. I mean, you can always message me on Facebook, but if you want to stay on top of like upcoming demonstrations and things like that, just go to newearthconsciousness.com and you can sign up there for the newsletter email subscription list, and you'll get those updates. And also, I just wanted to offer well, I'll send you all you guys the replay. Those of you that are here and have attended, if you want to work with me, I am going to offer a discount, first time discount for anyone that's receiving a one-on-one constellation session. So yeah, so that concludes our session. So again, newearthconsciousness.com is the best way to just sign up for those email notifications. So I hope this was really eye-opening for all of you of what's like possible in terms of healing. It's amazing work. Thank you for spending this hour with me. I really appreciate all of your time and energy and attention, and for holding the space for Andra. And I hope to see you all again sometime soon. All right.
Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Have an amazing day. Bye.
Bye.